So here recently there was a news story that popped up, and it was about a lady who had a boyfriend, and she was in her home, and at some point the boyfriend came up to the door and started banging on the door. There was a question whether there was a weapon with him or not, and so she did what any normal human would do, and she picked up the phone, dialed 911, talked to the dispatcher and said, "Hey, I need a police officer out here." And the dispatcher, and this is where it gets weird, basically said, "We can't send a cop out to you." And again, this is in America, and the question is, why not? But let's fast forward first. And so the guy breaks in, does hurt her severely, and now the question is, why weren't or where wasn't a police officer dispatched to her home? And this all results back to budget cuts. And this is where I think it gets crazy. This county that this incident resides in pays the lowest property tax in their entire state. Their police force has been cut dramatically over the last 7 years, to the point where they've had to shut down their jail. So they've had to release criminals who shouldn't have been released. And these are not just people who have just been arrested for drugs. We're talking about people who've been arrested for violent crimes, now being released because the jail can't house them, which is scary to say in the first place. They've cut their police force very low. We're talking 3 or 4 officers for their entire county. Crazy. I mean, sheriffs have been cut back. Now, I want to state there, as in any state, there are state police, but of course, state police are spread pretty thin, and they mostly reside on interstates or main state roads. So 3 officers for the entire county. I think there's 5 full time, but remember they're usually broken down into 3 shifts. So at this time they had 1 dispatcher and possibly 1 officer on duty. 1 officer for an entire county. Now we're not talking about a small county, of maybe 15 square miles. We're talking about a large radius. And it gets back to this whole ideology of the people in their town not wanting to pay higher taxes, which they're already paying the lowest in their state, but not wanting to pay taxes to fund a police force. And it's scary. I mean, think about the fact that if you call 911 right now, someone was breaking into your home, you call 911 right now, police told you, "Sorry, we can't get to you." And a lot of people want a place to bring on the police, and really it's misfounded anger, because really you should be mad at your neighbors and everyone that isn't paying for it. And so it brought up a discussion about guns. If you can't have a reliable force to come protect you, which the Supreme Court actually nominated the fact that the police have no duty to protect you. They are just more or less a source or a service to protect. They don't have a guaranteed duty to protect you. But the idea and ideology behind it is that you could pick up the phone, call 911, and no one's there. So it brings up the whole gun debate very, very strongly. Of maybe you should have a gun in your home. If you can't have people protect you. But it blows my mind. 3 officers. 3 officers, and these are people that patrol. There's 2 officers. One has to basically do all the paperwork, because you're already talking about a whole county. There's tons of paperwork, and probably someone a dispatcher, I'm assuming. So 3 officers, 3 shifts, so 1 per shift. Scary. And there's no city police either, so even scarier. Maybe if you're lucky, there's a state highway patrol for 1 or 2 counties that patrols your area. So very scary. And it's one of these facts where people think, oh, this is just an isolated event, and it's really not. I did some research, and it's not actually. This is fairly common in areas where people don't want to pay taxes. Now, I do want to state it is usually in poor counties, or in counties where people don't want to pay taxes. But it keeps getting to my mind the fact that 1 officer per shift per county. My county has 86,000 people in it. There's no way 1 officer could control that. I won't state the name of the county, but there is a county around us that is almost in the same predicament. And it's scary. It is incredibly scary. The fact that 1 or 2 or 5 officers are supposed to patrol an entire county and somehow reliably get and protect you is incredible. I mean, cities, small cities, are known to have 5 officers, 5, 8, 10 officers, and an entire county only has 3 to 5. It's a scary incident, and it's not uncommon. So the question then resides: why do people not want to pay taxes? Or, I mean, they're paying their taxes. Don't get me wrong on that. Is that they want to pay a minimum, and I don't know. Of all service, I would think EMTs, firefighters, and police would be one of your biggest concerns. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people. The gun debate is a big, very heated debate. I don't want to get into that, but the idea of I know a lot of people that don't want to have guns in their home, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Some people do, and that's completely your right, and it's for a whole nother debate. But the aspect of being able to defend yourself or have someone help defend you, and when someone can't get to save you, it's kind of like if you were having a heart attack, and you call a squad, and they're like, "Ah, sorry, we can't get to you. Call us back in 12 hours." I mean, crazy, and it blows my mind. We live in America, and the idea of this happening, and it's not the fault of politicians. It's not the fault of businesses. It's not the fault of any incident. It's people not passing levies. Here recently in in my county, there's a school district who took them almost 6 years to pass a levy for a school that was so underfunded and falling behind, and the people didn't want to pay. And what people don't understand, and it blows me away, is when you raise education standards, you raise property values because around the school, and you make a better society when people are more educated. Things prosper. And when you have an aspect of you can't have EMTs if there's a fire at your house. I mean, imagine this: there could be a fire at your house, and it would take firefighters maybe 5 hours to get to your house because they're not on shift till 8 o'clock or 6 a.m. That's scary. It really is. And the fact that neighbors are supposed to be loving towards each other and they don't want to pay a price increase in their taxes, it's scary. And it really opens your eyes up to the fact of you could call 911 for being that fire, ambulance, or a police officer, and they might not show up. And it really is scary, and it baffles me. I mean, it baffles me. I mean, nobody wants to pay taxes, or nobody wants to pay a certain portion of taxes. I'm one of the few people in my grade that I see taxes as a way that benefits society. I feel like it's a way of paying back for what society gives you. But this is one of those cases where it's not going towards, pork, and no, that's not the meat pork, but, pork bills and stuff, which is excess money that's going to be spent, or going towards, updating a highway that maybe doesn't need done. This is going to something that is very, very needed, and it's depressing and sad to find out in America this is happening. So, watch out. Look up in your own community. See the numbers, and maybe you should talk to some community members about this, because it's not just uncommon. It's somewhat common now, and with all these budget cuts, it's scary. So thanks for watching.